Hi everybody, I'm Steve McDonald and this is your Investors Daily Edge midweek market update. In focus today, earnings season in Asia, Caterpillar, DuPont, GE, Ford, US Steel, an oil update, why the Dow and S&P aren't higher, and of course the Slap in the Face Award. First up, earnings season. Wow! 97% of all technology companies have beaten their estimates, and the numbers have been stupendous throughout. Very few companies have not beaten their estimates. The one common thread in almost all the big US-based companies that have had really good numbers, anybody guess it? Asia. GE, Caterpillar, DuPont, their numbers were amazing and most of them came from Asia. Even our oil play and Sound Profits owes much of its price rise to Asia. 71% of DuPont's numbers from this past quarter were the result of activity in Asia. 71%. Last year, as early as last April, both Andy Gordon and I were banging the table in both IDE and Sound Profits about buying companies that have a lot of exposure outside the U.S. and how big Asia would be in the next few years, not just to the U.S., but to all the developed economies. This round of earnings numbers is only the beginning. Look for a lot more activity from Asia showing up in the numbers of U.S. and Euro-based companies. Now, what do Ford, by the way, they also had huge numbers this quarter. What do Ford, GE, DuPont, and Cat all have in common? Caterpillar, not Cat. What do they have in common? They were all picked by me last year in Sound Profits when they were a lot cheaper than they are now. In fact, we've owned and sold Caterpillars several times in the last year. Ford, I'm particularly proud of that pick. I wrote about what I called the rebirth of the U.S. car industry in Investors Daily Edge. I believe it was last April or May. I can't remember exactly. And I called Ford a screaming buy when it was still in the single digits. It's still a long-term buy and hold. Ford announced the numbers they reported this quarter are just the beginning of a long-term trend, and they see that trend running for some time. Look for dips this year to get in on it. Oil. Oil is trading in a tight range between 83 and 85. Now, just before I came in here to record this, I noticed it dropped a little before 83. Most of the fluctuation is due to the continuing problems in Greece. Demand for oil worldwide is up, but as long as the euro keeps bouncing around with this Greece debt issue, keeps bouncing around against the dollar, we're going to continue to see the price of oil bouncing up and down. I don't know how low it's going to go, but let me tell you something. In a year from now, you're going to be kicking yourself in the butt if you didn't buy this while it's down towards 80. The scenario has not changed. When the surpluses, that's oil surpluses, dry up with increasing demand from China and the emerging world and the U.S. and Europe, the price will take off no matter what the dollar is doing. OPEC, think about this. OPEC just announced that they will cap the price of oil at $100 a barrel. Think about what they're saying. That's the same as saying oil will run up to $100, and we will do whatever we can to not stall the growth of the world's economies when it does. Unfortunately, OPEC can't control the price of all oil, and in fact, when they say things like this, they're just pouring gas on the fire. This sort of thing will bring oil speculators out of their graves to trade. It could get very interesting. Stay tuned. Now, the Sound Profits Leap oil play is definitely in a buy range. I think it was below $5. Any weakness in oil below 80 should be seen as a buy for oil, but you can still buy the Leap option that we recommended. US Steel. This is for S&P readers, or Sound Profit readers, rather, not S&P. We hit our trailing stop of 60 on it last week. Now, it's holding right around 59. We may get back into it if it drops a lot. Now, I'm not going to buy this at 56 or 57. We're going to look for a better play. Let's wait and see. This sell gives us the second profitable trade we've had in U.S. Steel in under a year. We've traded this before. Now, we're doing this with trailing stops. If you aren't using a trailing stop signal like the one I recommend in Sound Profits, you really should consider it. This market is on the front face of the big hill on the roller coaster. Lots of excitement and anticipation right now, but the backside is coming. It always does. And you have to be prepared to protect your profits. You have to use trailing stops. They work. Now, why isn't the Dow above 14,000? A lot of people are asking this because right now, think about it, we have zero interest rates, or almost zero interest rates. The government has pumped almost $800 billion into the economy. Numbers have been excellent for the past 2 quarters, and still the volume on the markets doesn't reflect any of these factors, and the averages don't either. Not to the extent you would expect them to with these conditions. One answer, this is one answer, is the old adage that Wall Street hates uncertainty, especially uncertainty about what the rules will be. Here's one reason. The new financial regulation bill includes a provision, you may have heard this on CNBC or seen it in the Journal. But this has a provision to require that investment companies have a new higher required level of cash behind derivatives play. That's the simplest way I can explain it. Not just going forward now, but trades that were made in place before the new regulations, which, by the way, haven't passed yet, but they will. Warren Buffett, because of this little glitch in the rules, Warren Buffett has to move $6 to $8 billion of cash out of investments into a cash fund to back up plays on derivatives that he placed long before any regulations of this type were even thought of. That's going to cost his investors money, a lot of money. If you have to take $6 to $8 billion out of an interest or out of a growing position and just sit it in an interest-bearing account, you know how much interest-bearing accounts are paying right now. This is not a good sign and not good financial thinking. I like the idea of limiting how much banks can invest in high-risk plays. I think it's essential. I like the idea of requiring managers to have cash to back up their high-risk plays. That's a good idea. I could even see reining in some players who are way too far out there on the risk side of plays, that even the ones they made before the regs. But a blanket rule that hits even Warren Buffett, one of the most conservative players out there, is just not smart. This is the sort of thing that sends signals to the big market players to sit tight and do nothing until they are assured of the playing field's condition. Last week I called it over-the-top regulations. This is what's going to happen with this sort of thing. That's one of the big reasons we still are in what I call an idling market. Yeah, I know we've moved up from the 10,000 range into the 11,000 range, but we're still not moving as fast as we should or as far as we should. If we didn't have this and other problems like new higher taxes, out-of-control deficits, a debt that dwarfs other developed countries, we would have a much more positive response to the market conditions that we're seeing. Finally, the slap in the face award this week. This guy kills me. Harry Reid this week was quoted as saying, and I swear to you, I'm not making this up. This is what he said. If you stand by Wall Street, you are against the family. I'm serious, folks. That's what he said. This guy has serious reality problems. I think he is actually beginning to believe all the propaganda his party is pumping into the media and press. Every member of Congress has investments. Investments are what make retirement possible. College, I don't have to explain to you how crucial Wall Street is to the entire world. Harry has other ideas, though. Maybe just being in D.C. too long affects your reasoning abilities. Against the family, that is special. I'm sorry, but this one's left me speechless. I wish I had more to say. Email me at the address below. I'm always interested in what you have to say about these videos. I'd love to hear your suggestions. Let me know if there's something I'm not talking about that you'd like to hear. Thanks again for being a part of this. We'll see you Friday in the weekend wrap-up.